I've been told before that I look like I've walked out of like an Assassin's Creed video game. And I'm here to tell you that you're right. Definitely have. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing a video talking about the use of Ixalan cards in Modern. Now, I haven't looked at like any deck lists or really anyone else's opinions on these, so I have no idea what other people are saying. My editing software is being... but it's like not freaking closing, and I'm like, what are you doing? But basically, when I was like evaluating the set and I was looking at it and I did my my videos on it, I was like thinking about how I felt a lot of the cards. I was like, I feel like I can definitely see a lot of these cards being used in Modern and in EDH. And I thought of like, people have asked me like questions like that in the past, and I've always felt like I've always talked about it with a limited mindset, and I've never gone beyond that. So this is the first time I'm doing a video like this, but let me know if you guys like this. But yeah, so let's talk about a couple of cards. I'm not talking about, obviously, everything. And these are just kind of like first impressions, like of cards that I think are going to be used. Like I said, if people have already started playing with these cards, I know nothing. I'm only talking about this from what I've seen. The first card I want to talk about is Siren Stormtamer. I think this card is really sweet. I really like this for the aggressive blue factor. Like, I find that blue tends to just lack on a lot of creatures a lot of the time. But I like that this is like a 1/1 flyer, which I just love automatically. And then it counter-targets speller ability that targets you or a creature you control. Kind of reminds me of like Spellskite a little bit. I mean, you can't infinitely do this because you can with Spellskite by paying the 2 life or the blue mana, but I really like Siren Stormtamer. I think this card's really sweet. I can't pinpoint what decks I think this is going to be used in. Maybe Merfolk, I'm not too sure. Just because I think, yeah, it's not a Merfolk, but I don't know. I just think this has the potential to potentially be used in that deck. Okay, it kind of reminds me of Curse Catcher a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I think this card's sweet. And also, too, like, some of these may not be used at all in Modern. I'm just saying these are some things that I think have potential. Then we have Rampaging Ferocidon. I think in Burn, I think this card's just going to be really good in various Burn builds. I like that it's a 3/3 creature, which, you know, going in the Burn players really like increments of 3, so keeping up with that. It's also a 3 mana 3/3 with Menace, which is great. Then players can't gain life. Amazing. And when it enters the battle, whenever another creature ETBs, deals 1 damage. All around this card does a lot of different things. I can really see this being used in Burn. Again, some people may totally not use it, but I think it's really sweet. I like that it's got a really nice body. I like the fact that it's got Menace, so it makes it, you know, harder for your opponents to kill it. Players not being able to gain life is great, and then if you're on that kind of more aggressive creature strategy, you know, or you have just a couple more creatures, you know, this with like doubling with Goblin Guide, like if you play this on like turn 3 and then play like 3 1-drops the next turn, like you've got like 4 damage, you know, dealing places, so that damage totally adds up. Overall, I think this card is really sweet. Then we talk about Kopala, Warden of Waves. I know a lot of people are talking about this card being used in Merfolk, and I definitely agree. I think this card's going to be total house in Merfolk sideboards, because it's a 3 mana 2/2. Spells your opponent's casts that target a Merfolk you control cost 2 more to cast. Abilities your opponents activate that target a Merfolk cost 2 more to activate. Like, what you're looking at is now a kill spell that your blue, black, whatever player, you know, you're making them pay way more for it, which is really incredible. And this is also a Merfolk, so even if they're trying to kill it, they still have to pay the additional mana for it, which I really like and appreciate in this card. Card definitely wouldn't be as good if it was just other Merfolk, because then they could just kill this for free, basically, with their kill spell. Overall, I think this is really good. Look at it this way. It's like paying Path to Exile, but paying 3 mana for Path to Exile. That sucks. You don't want to do that. Definitely a card that's just going to get tossed, you know, immediately pathed. Just really, really good card. Definitely puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, especially in the early game. Especially, too, when Merfolk is playing with Aether Vial. So you're playing with a deck that not only can pump, like, 1 creature out a turn, it can pump, like, probably 2 creatures out a turn. So yeah, card is just really, really good. So you can have the opportunity to get this out sooner is what I was trying to get at with that point. Yeah, card's really fantastic. Definitely, I think it'd be used in Merfolk sideboards, hands down. The next card I want to talk about is Ashes of the Abhorrent. I really like the name of this card. I think it's really sweet. Definitely reminded me of Rest in Peace a whole lot. It's a little bit different than Rest in Peace. It's 2 mana. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or activate abilities, so like they can still have their graveyard, but they just can't use it, if that makes sense. It's not like they're exiling it. But then whenever a creature dies, you gain a life. I think this is really sweet in strategies where you need that extra bit of life gain and your opponent is massively playing with their graveyard. I do all in all think that Rest in Peace is just strictly better, but I like how this card lets you gain life. I just think that's really sweet. Yeah. And also reminds me of Grafdigger's Cage, which I also really love that card too. Okay, the next card I want to talk about, I just think this card is sweet. Settle the Wreckage. You exile all attacking creatures target player controls, then that player may search for basic lands. Okay, now, guys, I want to talk about why this card is good. Now, we don't like giving our opponents lands, right? In the right matchup, this card is just, I mean, it's always going to be great, but it's really good in certain matchups because, guys, people in Modern are very mana greedy. It is something you're going to notice. People run fetch lands and shock lands like it's nobody's business. Myself, personally, I really like basics, and sometimes it kills me because I don't have the right lands, but sometimes sometimes people die because they've shocked way too many times, or they've fetched way too many times. I'm not saying that shock lands and fetch lands aren't great, but I'm saying some people run like 3 basics in their deck. If you exile 5 of their cards, do you really think they're going to have 5 basics in their deck? No. Really, really good against mass creature decks, and graveyard recursion decks. I really, really love this card. I think white is going to be super pleased by this. Again, in certain matchups, it's really just not going to be good. You're kind of going to thin through their deck, but in certain matchups where they don't have a lot of creatures, where they don't have a lot of basic lands, which we know how Magic players are, they like their fancy lands, I think this card's going to be incredible. It's also exile too, like, let's just note that. Doesn't say destroy, like, gets around a lot of things. That's really fantastic. Okay, cool. Then we have probably like my favorite card in the entire set, no questions, Opt. I see this as a substitute for Serum Visions almost always. This card's just really, really fantastic. Blue just got a brand new toy and I am so excited. Playing with Serum Visions was an extraordinarily painful part of dealing with blue, i.e. I'm a blue mage and I know what that's like. But no more, because some other things may suck, but at least our scrying doesn't suck as much. Guys, it's a 1 mana scry 1 draw card, instant speed. Super simple, there's nothing really a lot to say, but it's just better than Serum Visions, and Serum Visions is pretty bad, so they totally did us a favor. I'm very excited about this card. I don't see a reason not to play with it. Card's great. The next card I want to talk about is Call to the Feast, and this was one of the cards that really got me excited for the set because I talked earlier in my video on Tuesday about like multicolored cards, and definitely, you know, when you're playing sealed, going into them. So I love multicolored cards. I think this is just going to be great in black-white tokens. I feel like this is a toy. Yes, it's 4 mana, which kind of sucks in that deck because your 4 mana is like kind of like your Sorin slot. You have a like Sorin Solemn Visitor in there. But honestly, it's such a good body. I mean, you're paying 4 mana for 3s with lifelink. Like, it's really great. I definitely have found that with black-white tokens. Yeah, someone is saying that they, you know, it isn't good enough, but I think it can be good enough. I think even just as like a one of, I think it's just really, really good. I know not a lot of people play with that deck, but I think this card is sweet. Okay, cool. And the next card is Unclaimed Territory, and I think that, okay, so it's not Cavern of Souls. Let's just establish the difference. Cavern of Souls says that those creatures can't be countered. Unclaimed Territory doesn't say that. So yes, Cavern of Souls is better, and I know that. However, in decks, in certain matchups, this doesn't really matter because you're not playing against blue. So this is a really good meta-dependent card. I think it's really good for people who don't want to spend money on Cavern of Souls. In my opinion, that card is so 100% worth it. Like, when I had it for elves, I was like, I'm never going back. This card's incredible. But for people who want to build, like, budget elves or something like that, I think this card's going to be really sweet. Again, it's not good. I'm literally saying it is not as good as Cavern of Souls. It's just not. There's no questions. Duh. But I do think that this card is mediocre at best, but I do think it's going to see some play. I know a lot of people are talking about how it's going to be used in Eldrazi. I don't care about that deck at all, nor will I ever, so I don't care how it's going to be used there. I was mainly looking at this from a Merfolk lens, as well as a Merfolk and Elves. Those were the two decks that really, you know, I was thinking about there, but if you don't want to dish out money for Cavern of Souls, even though it's totally worth it, Unclaimed Territory is a pretty okay substitute, depending on your meta. If you're playing against, like, no blue decks, this card's great. Like, it's just the times you play blue decks where they're going to try to counter your creatures, you know. This card's not so great. And the last card I want to talk about is Vraska, and, you know, I kind of looked at Vraska, and I was like, I need to find some way to run her. Like, I just need to do something with her. She needs to be in Abzan builds. She needs to be in something. She needs to be in Jund, because then you can just Vraska Lightning Bolt. Like, what about her is not... I just think Jund just is gonna have a field day. I mean, honestly, I think if you're thinking about it, like, maybe I should... Yeah, Vraska. And now I'm really excited that I haven't done my Jund deck tech, because I'm totally gonna mainboard Vraska, because I'm a savage, and this card is sweet. It's a 6 mana, it starts off with 6 loyalty for 6, and then you uptick it to 2, so you already have 8. Like, come on, that's stupid. Then you create a pirate with menace. Okay, that's great. She protects herself. Love it. Fantastic. Then you, for -3, destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment. You create a token treasure. I don't really care about the treasure tokens. I don't have an opinion on them. I think they're mediocre. But being able to destroy artifact, creature, enchantment is really fantastic, especially if they're creatures that are going to swing into Vraska. Love that. And guys, target player's life total becomes 1. I mean, seriously, you do this to your opponent and then you lightning bolt them. Like, come on. What about Vraska isn't good? She should absolutely be seeing modern play. I don't care that she's 6 mana. Definitely bump it up to some Abzan slots or some Jund slots. I just think she's incredible. So yeah, guys, that is it. I was thinking about doing the EDH version of this video, talking about, like, EDH staples in this. I don't really know. I may do that video. I don't know. It may be a little bit later on, though. I'm kind of worn out and about talking about this set. I'm kind of a little, like, over it. I feel like just because I did those videos a couple weeks ago, like the set overview, and then now doing this, I'm kind of like, okay, I want to get back into, like, the normal swing of things with my videos. But I may do an EDH one if you guys want, on the impact of what this set is going to do to it if you guys want. So yes, that is it. I will talk to you guys in my next video, and I'll see you later.